Hello guys, I'm so excited that finally I have just received my new book, The Bible of Bodybuilding. It's a book that consists of 400 pages. You can purchase this book on Amazon, and this book contains my former other books, Lipids, Using Sports, and the Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, plus the training, nutrition, supplementation, but also including extra features, Q&As about gear, about HRT, but also a quiz regarding supplements, diet, and of course PEDs. So the Bible of Bodybuilding on Amazon, both on ebook and Kindle version.
Hey everybody, welcome to Ask Dr. Testosterone, starring Dr. George Tsoulianos and brought to you by his book, The Bible of Bodybuilding, available on Amazon.com. While you're on Amazon.com, get my book too. Why not? Real Bodybuilding, what a great book. And now, all the way from Athens, Greece, please welcome the good Dr. George Tsoulianos. Hey, Doc.
Hello, Ron. Thank you for this accomplishment about the interview, because I just got the PDF from Alan Golnick and it looks really good.
Yeah.
The graphics are great. Alan did a great job. Yeah. And I'm thankful to Steve Blackman, of course, and I'm looking forward to frame the 5-page interview into my office, you know?
Yeah, it came out really well. So we recorded last Monday while I was in Florida, and the very next day, Cedric McMillan passed away at 44 years old, very unexpected. It wasn't totally unexpected because he was in the hospital just a few months ago with 10% heart function, pneumonia. He was in the ICU for 3 days.
So I assume it was a heart failure, you know, with a low ejection fraction.
Yeah.
I looked up in his Instagram, and 1 week ago, he posted something about whey protein that has lactase enzyme, and it's good because of his digestive issues that he has, you know. Now, Cedric is the second guy we're losing in the Hall of Fame within 6 months period. You know, it was also the former Mr. Olympia, Sean Rodden, at the age of 45, I guess. So in the 40s, which is a critical age, you know. Yeah. George Peterson was way younger. But both Cedric and Sean, I think they were related cardiovascular issues, you know, heart attack. I mean, Cedric was doing a treadmill, you know, he was walking on the treadmill as he collapsed. This is something that speculates of acute myocardial infarction, you know? So it's a heart attack, the classic heart attack. He was a big guy, no doubt about it, you know? Great lines. I watched your short video where you were in Florida. Yeah. You're saying that he had fantastic lines, you know, very aesthetic, even though he was big, but bodies come and go, but he was a really good guy, a family man, you know, he was a veteran. And he had also received a special invitation to the Olympia 2019. Right. And he was also the 2020 Arnold as well. Well, he looks spectacular in 2017, even though the late Dallas, he also passed. He was bigger than him, but Cedric had exceptional posing and great, you know, no bubble gut, great V-taper, great separation. I'm really sad about his family. You know, his 4 children. He was a family man. Yeah. He had a contract with Cytec in 2016. I met him in Athens, you know, because he was brought by Cytec. Yeah. And I remember it was really hot in Athens back that day. It was June, and he's waiting patiently under his umbrella, you know, to embrace everybody and give autographs. You know, really professional. No complaint about the heat or anything, even though he was wearing tights. And I don't know, perhaps we should do something with the anabolic doc, Thomas O'Connor, to have a show and speak openly again about the prevention and the, you know, preventive strategies and how to prevent harm reduction, you know, how to focus on harm reduction, because this sport is dangerous, it's extreme if you don't know how to do, and certainly more is not better. okay, you have to visit your doctor, be outspoken, do your regular labs, CT scan, ultrasound, echocardiogram, stress test, whatever it takes in order to have longevity, you know?
Yeah, he had COVID, and I think, a lot of people are speculating. We can't
Ron,
prove
it's
it.
very easy to blame COVID or the vaccine. You know, it's very easy to point the finger. Yeah. But I don't think there was zero stress out of the gear or out of anything. Yeah. Even though he was even this frame of 250 plus pounds gives stress to the heart to send blood to all these tissues.
Yeah. But I mean, we are seeing so many more bodybuilders die under the age of 50. This is a fact.
Okay, could be correlated with either a COVID infection with a vaccine. Yeah. But the point is, COVID will remain no matter what.
I know.
And if you're not lucky, to have established a very good immunity or a very perfect cardiovascular system, then you're having your chances.
Yeah. Well, let me get a hold of Thomas and see if we can get a good discussion going with you two. Because I think
Akeem Williams is a beast. He had COVID. Okay, there's no problem with him. He sat down next to me at the Arnold Classic.
That's right.
But Cedric, he had a problem with his heart. You're talking about 10%. This is severely low. This sounds like heart failure.
Yeah.
If you're talking about the ejection fraction. So right. The last thing you do is compete, of course.
Yeah, I mean, it's easy for us to say these guys should just quit as soon as they have a problem.
It's their living. Yes, it's their living.
But what are they going to do? Yeah, I mean, that's if they don't have any other businesses or anything to fall back on, and this is all they know how to do. What are they supposed to do? Just say, okay, I quit. I'm going to downsize. I'm going to drop 50 pounds. No more gear. I'll just go to TRT. I'm going to eat 3 times a day. I'm just going to be a regular person again. It's that's very hard to tell somebody when they've been this superhuman. These guys.
You have to accept the reality and the facts that we are aging. Nobody it's time.
Yeah.
And someday perhaps you're going to pay your dues. Some people are lucky to live past 50. Let's say some of them die in the 30s.
Yeah.
It's crazy because the haters of bodybuilding now they're saying they blame, of course, about this is an extreme and dangerous sport, and we're not giving a good look to the outside world.
Yeah, we're giving the haters a lot of ammunition with this because I mean it's hard to argue. Yeah, people are dying all the time now. We've lost so many, and it's I think for every Cedric or every Sean Roden who's famous, there's another 100 or 200 or 500 bodybuilders that nobody's ever heard of that are dying. But because, they're not pros and they're not famous, we're not going to ever hear about them. So who knows? But let's get into some questions, Doctor, if you don't mind. We'll debate this with Thomas. I'll get a hold of him. All right, Doctor, here's our first question for the week. It's a 2-part question, training. First, if body parts are growing faster than others, should I train the lagging muscles twice a week or 3 times a fortnight, for example, to help them catch up and even out? My arms and traps are massive compared to the rest of me. So yeah, what would you do with the lagging body parts? Train them more often?
So I think 3 times a week is overkill. Ronnie used to speak about this, and he said do it twice. Now, traps and arms, of course, are small muscle groups that react really easily. They're not hard to grow. Yeah. So I think even twice a week. However, Dorian had this philosophy of training so severely that you need 1 whole week in order to recover. So think about this perspective. So train like hell, like no other, and do it once a week. Otherwise, if you can do muscle groups together and have pairs like chest and triceps or back and biceps or delts and traps, So do a 4 times split and then see if you are able to have some progress. But you need you need the recovery, if you train twice a week. Yeah. So you need sleep and don't waste your time,
Yeah, I think anybody who has a physical job, construction, anything like that, it'd be silly for them to train body parts too often because there's no way somebody like that can recover. But if you have a desk job, you can sleep 8 or 9 hours a night and get all your meals in. Yeah. That's probably different. Okay, second part of the question. He says, I'm coming to costs for vacation in 46 days. What bodybuilding supplies can I buy over the counter in Greece? For example, Pfizer HGH pens and other hormones, or will I need a prescription? Thanks so much.
No, GH is not available in Greece, at least pharmaceutical grade. You can get it yourself.
Yeah.
Now, pharmaceutical grade, you can have access to HCG, testosterone, proviron, and Anadrol. That's all.
And no prescription needed?
Occasionally for Anadrol, it's up to the pharmacist.
Yeah.
Of course, we have aromatase inhibitors, SERMs. That's all. That they don't require prescription, even testosterone or proviron. But DECA occasionally does, yes.
Okay. Well, I would say, sir, be very careful. Be very careful coming back to. I assume you're in the U.S. because they don't play around.
If you are to cause, then come by my office. I give you a note for the airport in order to justify your stock, just in case they open up your luggages.
All right. All right. Cool. Next one. We got some people want to make a baby here. Next question. Hello, doctor. My wife and I are looking to have a baby. However, I've been on TRT at 100 to 200 milligrams for a year now without HCG. Should I come off testosterone completely and start HCG and HMG? What dosage and for how long until my fertility restores? Also, can I stay on a low dose of testosterone, but with HCG while trying to have a kid? Please advise.
So it was not a smart idea to stop using HCG if you wanted to have a kid. So we should combine testosterone with HCG. And I don't think it's a good idea also stop using testosterone because you're not going to have erection and sex drive in order to have an intercourse. Yeah. Now you can stack HCG with HMG along with low dose of testosterone, 100 milligrams. So 1,000 IUs every 3 days of HCG along with 75 IUs of HMG the same days for a couple of weeks. Check out your seminal diagram before and after and see how much volume you have and how many spermatocytes per ejaculation per ml.
Great. And good luck to you, sir. Next one, looking to minimize negative effects on lipids over the course of a long cruise on 200 milligrams test and 1,000 HCG per week. I currently only have access to Arimidex, which seems to be the culprit for drastically distorting my lipid profile. I'm basing this on bloods taken with and without. Would dropping the Arimidex and using 25 to 50 milligrams per day of proviron make sense here? I aromatize heavily, even on such a low dose of tests. So we'll have to run something. Perhaps lowering the HCG would also make sense. Appreciate any help you can provide.
Lower your testosterone. You're not going to need any anti-aromatizing agent. I don't know how much he's using. He can also lower the HCG, okay, and do microdosing in order to avoid the spiking. Yeah. Don't be paranoid about aromatizing. Also, lower your body fat. Stop drinking alcohol and coffee, okay, or eating soy.
Okay, cool. All right, next one. Can you ask the doc why estrogen levels are very high on Anadrol? Anytime I add it with my testosterone, my estrogen levels are in the 50s. Problem solved with exemestane, but there's something about Anadrol where it doesn't allow estrogen to clear. Is that right?
I guess it's not Anadrol because Anadrol is DH derivative. It doesn't aromatize itself. But when you stack it with testosterone, its metabolites are more likely to have an estrogenic affinity. But chemically, it's DHC derivative. So it's like using Winslow or Anavar, for instance, or Primo, yeah. Or Masteron. It shouldn't convert. If you use it alone, I mean, monotherapy in medicine, it doesn't have this water retention, Okay. But it's the stacking with another estrogenic compound like testosterone. Otherwise, it's faked, It's fake with dianabol.
Yeah. So I wonder why they would give you, D-ball for Anadrol. It's not that much more expensive. So
I have no idea. Well, Anadrol is more pharmaceutical grade, more chance to find pharmaceutical grade Anadrol even in the States rather than dianabol, which is among bodybuilding community. I mean, dianabol was back in the 60s, Yeah. But now Anadrol is more officially produced from medical purposes, even though EPO is synthesized now and kicks off all these steroids that want to treat anemia.
Yeah, I've never seen pharmaceutical grade Anadrol ever. I know it exists.
Come on, Samir, but I mean, I know guys who used it, and was from the States, in the 80s.
I think it was Searle. I can't remember the company, but yeah, I know it was produced.
Yeah, it was available even in 2010, decade. I mean, still, yes.
Okay, right on.
It's available not just for wasting, but for anemia.
Right. Yeah, we got a lot of HCG questions this week. This guy wants to know, what is the better way to shoot HCG, subcutaneous or intramuscular? I have
Subcutaneous, all the water-based like growth hormone and human chorionic gonadotropin subcutaneously, you know.
Yeah.
There's no problem with that.
And he also wants to know, should he store this in the refrigerator while he's using it?
Absolutely. After the mix, oh yes.
Yeah. Otherwise, good. It's not going to be it's not going to be HCG after a couple of days. It's going to be some very expensive water. Okay. Protein requirement question. Once and for all, how much protein to eat per day, per pound or kilo of body weight? Or is it lean body mass, not just total body weight? And you use more protein in cutting versus bulking phases?
Absolutely. This is basic. Come on. During cutting, you need 3 grams per kilogram. During bulking or maintenance phase, you need 2.
Okay. Yeah. And how about, I guess you just said it all. Yeah, it's simple. Yeah. It's Gus Poulos question for the week from Gus Poulos. Hello, doctor. I'd like your opinion on my summertime cycle. 1 gram of test, 400 milligrams of tren, enanthate, and 800 milligrams of primobolan. I don't drink or smoke and eat healthy, 6 meals a day. I'm 11% body fat right now.
Okay, we know Gus is a guy that has a positive calcium score. So I'm not going to give a blessing to the steroid cycle. I advise him to go to 30, forget about all the gear because it's enough. Now the bell rang, you know, and it's a sign that he needs to quit. He's not competing. He's just doing this for the ladies or for the gym. So it's not a good idea being another dead guy, you know, knock on wood, just for the sake of, you know, vanity. So the doses are outrageous. These are competitive guys' doses, okay?
Yeah.
And I don't want to answer this question, go ahead, or I mean, it's a good stack or whatever. I don't want to encourage this guy. Follow this. And I want you to go 200 milligrams of Anadrol, of testosterone, perhaps 50 milligrams of Proviron, and 1 or 2 IUs of GH, and that's all. Enough is enough. What you take, you take.
Yeah. I mean,
okay, so this is a really hardcore stack. Okay, sounds reasonable. The stacking, the matching the compounds.
Yeah.
But for Christ's sake, 1 gram for what?
I mean,
for being a macho guy.
Come on. If I was doing this, me personally, and I'm, you know, I would cut.
Bro, this kid has still a calcium score. Okay, he opened up 2 episodes ago. So I'm gonna be a really, you know, what to say, an asshole if I tell him yes, it's good, go ahead. No, I mean, I'm like Connor. We're not gonna give a blessing even to people that are really fragile.
Yeah, we call it tough love. Tough love. That's the phrase we use because. If you care about somebody, just
like Dr. Dope, okay, I'm not Dr. Dope. I don't give a blessing, and Connor is correct about this. Okay, this guy opened up his files. He has a positive calcium score. Yeah. So stop it here.
Gotcha. All right. Good.
This is the reason I answered this question and didn't skip it because I want to give my message. You know.
Yeah. No, very important because health is. I think we're all starting to realize how dangerous.
Yeah, we spoke about McMillan. You know, who's next? Another piece of dust. Come on.
Yeah. Okay. Next one is, I did my blood work and it was really great. I used 375 milligrams test, 200 milligrams equipoise is the most I've used and in every lift and train every day. I don't know what he means. My question is is it better I don't use any orals for months now, although I use more milligrams total gear per week. So yeah, obviously it's better that you're not using orals, right?
Yeah, sure. Well, orals have less milligrams to stress the liver, okay, and obviously some of them do not pass through the liver. You know, they're metabolized through the liver and lose their potency, but it doesn't mean that you're bulletproof from injectables.
Right.
You know, it's the same compounds and mean they can do harm in the long run.
Yeah. Next, his second part of his question. This is kind of puzzling. My testosterone was 18 nanograms per milliliter with 10 nanograms. I don't know what he means by that. Maybe that's the free. 18, that doesn't sound right. Isn't that low for 375 milligrams of testosterone? Is it because I'm 238 pounds morning weight?
It's because you're faked, I mean, your testosterone is fake because when I hear 375 testosterone per ml, this is an underground shit, you know?
Well, no, he didn't say he was using, that's how much he's using per week. He didn't say that that was.
375, how is it? I mean, it's 1.5 ml of 250.
Yeah, I guess, but I mean, that's, is
So
that a
the
European
only
value?
information I have is underdose. I mean, the 18 nanograms per deciliter, they're a little bit above the mid-range to the UK scale. Okay, so 30 is the highest. Yeah, so it's not because he's a big guy only, but also I guess it's underdosed.
Right. So the 18 testosterone, that's a UK value. It's very different from the
it's
US
I mean,
value.
it's between 12 and 30, so he's above mid-range.
Wow. Okay.
That you reach with 100 milligrams, 150 milligrams.
Yeah. So it's probably is
If
underdosed.
it's underground, it's 100% underdosed.
Correct. Gotcha. Here's a good question. Doc and Ron, any tips on show day, contest day, for people with IBS, which is irritable bowel syndrome, extreme gassy, bloated, and burping? I really want to peak correctly without abdominal distension. I take fiber, probiotics, digestive enzymes, and Gas-X.
So fiber is out of the question. It's the worst thing to do.
Yeah.
You don't need fiber because it makes your bowel work more. So you need white rice, regular potato, simple carbs, okay? But you don't need yams, you don't need sweet potato, you don't need brown rice, you don't need whole grain bread. No fiber. Fiber will make you distended.
Gotcha.
No lettuce, so nothing with fiber.
Right. I always tell people on contest day, don't eat a bunch of things that you have not been eating for months, because your stomach is not going to know what to do. It's going to have a revolution in your stomach and you will get all bloated and gassy. Because if you haven't had bread, if you haven't had donuts and cupcakes and all these, you haven't had those for 16 weeks while you're dieting, and now you're backstage at the contest and you're eating muffins and you're eating donuts, what do you think is going to happen? Of course, your stomach's going to blow up.
If you're not used to high-fat diet, don't do it the day of the show, because you're not going to digest it.
Yeah. I mean, everyone thinks, because people think if they eat a bunch of junk, their muscles are going to get so full and they're going to
you're going to retain water out of insulin,
Yeah.
if you don't control it properly.
Yeah.
And insulin retains water and sodium,
Right. Dr. Tulianos often mentions sleep apnea. What exactly is sleep apnea? How is it related to steroid use?
So obstructive sleep apnea, because also there's central sleep apnea, occurs when we have thickening of the airways here, and the neck is larger than, let's say, 18 inches. So when it thickens, the oral part of the pharynx, called oropharynx, is narrowed. Then the air does a turbulence flow, leading to snoring, okay? And snoring then wakes you up out of choking because of less oxygen supply. So this is the sleep apnea, and sleep apnea equals elevated EPO and then hemoglobin. So when you snore, you elevate your hematocrit, in few words. And this is not a good idea for somebody who's using steroids. And when you use steroids or G8s and you lift vigorously, then you build a thick neck. Yeah, that's how it's correlated.
Yeah. Yeah, I noticed obviously I've heard that many times, that the thickness of your neck is really what contributes to sleep apnea. Sleep apnea is horrible. It's horrible. People wake up, 1,000 times in a night sometimes.
Yes, and also you wake up with a little bit of amnesia and bad mood, and you're young throughout the day. You're tired, fatigued.
Yeah, it's a terrible way to live your life. You're always exhausted. So last question, doctor, can you tell me where to inject testosterone suspension in my biceps and triceps?
Oh, come on, this is out of the question. No.
Ouch.
Suspension only to the real delt, or into the butt. This is the worst thing he mentioned, because there's no fat in these places, and there are nerves also, central, for sensor supply. Yeah. So it's not a good idea, of course. And always do it with a large needle, because the particles inside the suspension are really thick, and they're not going to pass through the insulin syringe, no matter how good you stir it. Yeah. You shake it.
It's the most painful thing you can possibly inject as far as steroids go. I'm gonna tell a real quick story. One time I had to shoot some guy asked me that he was a pro, and I was staying at the same hotel as him, and his girlfriend had run off or something. He said, "Can you do me a favor and come do my shot for me?" So I went to his room, and he had test suspension. He wanted me to put it in his rear delt. And I don't think he had a big needle, a big, large gauge needle. So the particles got stuck, and I was pushing and nothing was happening. And then the whole thing exploded, and the drugs went everywhere. The oil went everywhere. So it was a wasted
No
shot.
oil, it's water-based.
Water-based, yeah, but the drugs, he didn't get the shot. It went all over the floor. Terrible. Anyway, doctor, thank you so much for doing this week again. Again, I will get in touch with Thomas. I think it's time we got you guys together again and talk about this stuff. The harm prevention, very, very important. In the meantime, guys, thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe to the channel, like the video, share the video, leave some comments. If you have questions for next week's show, leave them in the comments below. George, we thank you so much for sharing your expertise, your wisdom, all that with us every week. It's very, very well.
160 episodes, huh?
Yeah, I have 160 on this one. That's what I have.
Yes, 160.
Ooh, so, all right, guys, thank you so much for watching Ask Dr. Testosterone. We'll see you next time.